Love it. I love my HBCU, and man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab. Yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Michael Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna love, and who the ball, who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson. And you gon' learn today, you gon' learn today, how your team they play, how they play, boy, you gon' learn today, how your team they play, how they play, yeah. We represent that swag, that MEAC, and let me say, what's up to Tennessee, stay, tune into the HBCU Sports Lab, with Dr. Bill, Mike and Charles, yeah.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. As you know, we got some love from Mike last week. He's back on the side.
On the road again.
Oh, my. Dr. Cavil's inside. Yeah, he traveled Philadelphia and Pittsburgh or something like that. Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop, presented by Amber Slaughter, the project architect. Amber Slaughter, the project architect, where they handle the project planning, project development, project execution, and team management so you can run your business. Contact Amber Slaughter, the project architect, at www.theprojectarchitect.com to schedule an appointment. That is www.theprojectarchitect.com to schedule an appointment. Welcome and thanks for joining us inside our HBCU Studio Lecture Hall at HBCU Sports Labs, as we like to call it, for the only weekly sports talk radio show that is dedicated to exploring the sporting HBCU diaspora, including the marching sport with its unique HBCU culture identity, the teams, the bands, coaches, athletic directors, commissioners, provosts, presidents, big rivalry matchup, classic games, homecoming events, and much, much more of the HBCU athletic aesthetics. As we emerge our lecture with sports business practices in the competitive sports industry, the show seeks to provide innovative, progressive, and informative dialogue about the week's HBCU sporting events, issues, and ideas from a fan's perspective. We review the Southwestern Athletic Conference, better known as the SWAC, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, better known as the MEAC, of the NCAA Division I Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, SIAC, Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association, CIAA, of the NCAA Division II, Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, GCAC, of the NAIA, and independent programs such as Tennessee State or OVC, Hampton of the Big South, Langston of the Sooner Athletic Conference, and Texas College as affiliate member of the Sooner Athletic Conference. Texas College, along with Jarvis Christian College, Paul Quinn, Houston Tillerson University.
Shout out to Isaiah.
Certainly, as he's taking care of some business doing a homework assignment project that he needs to get in for midterm. Let's go.
It is that week.
Yeah, getting close to it at least. As membership, as affiliate member, they're in the Red River Athletic Conference for those other programs we've mentioned, HBCU programs, as well as Edward Waters as they transition from NAIA to NCAA Division II and membership in the SIEC as they finish up on that Gulf Coast Athletic Conference finale season. So we'll give you some updates on what's going on there. But we just had the big tournament of them all, if you would.
Yes.
CIAA, as it went down and they closed out what seemed to be a much wonderful conference. Legendary program on the men's side got it done.
Yes. Kudos.
The women's program just keeps chugging along.
Wow, Fayetteville State
finally got it done.
They got it done. That was
not just regular season,
right?
And we had some folks tell us, watch out for Fayetteville State, 3-time division champions. They get a chance to get it done in the tournament, cut down the note. Job well done. I'm sure you're gonna give us a little update in terms of those programs. Like we said, Winston-Salem State on the men's side, mid-major division, as we like to call it, as well as Fayetteville State on the women's side getting it done for the CIAA. Look for them to get their automatic bids to the NCAA Division Tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see some other teams. Lincoln, did they do well enough overall to get a at-large bid?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see on the men's side, is anybody in that hunt. You know, we had some teams playing up there a little bit, Virginia State, Bowie State, right there in the mix. We'll see if they did enough. On the women's side, Virginia Union has been the perennial winner. They made a deep run, but their time has ended, if you would say, in regards to dominating the conference. And I just wanted to jump in because I wanted to give kudos to Aspire Network.
Yes.
Because I get to see those games,
Mm-hmm.
I was very excited about that. So I wanted to give a little love before I pass the mic and let you jump into some other news.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I wanted to brag a little bit. Excited about Texas Southern University as we continue to grow sports studies, sports management on the College of Education side in the Department of Health, Kinesiology, and Sports Studies. But now we're venturing off in the School of Communication.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the Department of Radio, Television, and Film. Joint appointment, so I'll be working with them. Excited about that. But more importantly, you're going to see some classes on the communication side, sports communication, sports entertainment and popular culture, foundation in esports and entertainment, esports and entertainment 2, contemporary issues in esports and entertainment. So you'll see a little more of the sports and entertainment side coming out of the sports communication classes. They try to broaden what they do and provide students with an opportunity to focus more on communications with the emphasis in sports. So excited to see that partnership. You can actually get a concentration out of the school over there in the entertainment and recording industry management degree program. You can get a concentration in sports management now. So we have a two-way partnership. Our students often get concentrations in radio, television, film, or journalism. Now we have students in the School of Communication that want to focus more on the entertainment and recording industry management side, can bridge over and look at it from a sport management perspective. So
that's awesome.
Excited about that partnership. Kudos to my dean. Well, I guess both of them are now my deans. Wow, that may be tougher. But dean in the College of Education, Dean Holtz, agreeing to this, as well as Dr. Raquel Brown Burton, Dean of School of Communication, and Provost Kendall Harris in regards to signing off on the document in terms of that partnership. So, big deal. Excited for students over there at Texas Southern University with a chance to continue to develop some frameworks on sport management, sports studies, sports entertainment, and sports communication.
Huge.
It's pretty significant. And look for some graduate courses to be coming that way as well. But just want to give a little shout out to Texas Southern University.
Congratulations.
With all things going on, we are still about the business and the work of educating students in terms of what they want to do for their career path. So, what other news you got?
Yeah, let's start off. And again, you mentioned it at the top of the program. Kudos to the Fayetteville State ladies as they captured the CIAA Women's Basketball Championship over Bowie State. Of course, you know, this is the last year in the city of Charlotte as they'll be moving the CIAA championship to Baltimore. So wanted to start off by saying kudos to Fayetteville State on the women's side. And on the men's side, it was Winston-Salem State as they rallied to defeat Fayetteville State in the CIAA Men's Basketball Championship. So kudos to both of those teams for getting it done, as you mentioned, in the granddaddy of them all, the CIAA Basketball Championship. News coming out of the SWAC office today is the Southwestern Athletic Conference. They have announced a new headquarters to call home. The league has formally announced the purchase of a 16,000 square feet corporate office building located near downtown Birmingham. And this is a statement from SWAC Commissioner Dr. Charles McClellan. 2020 is truly shaping up to be a significant year in the overall history of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. This summer we will host our 100th year anniversary gala, but prior to that we will have an opportunity to write the next chapter in the storied history of the SWAC with the opening of our new league headquarters. Check this out. The three-story structure is equipped with 40 individual offices, 2 large conference rooms, a walk-in reception area, and over 30 parking spaces. The league's new headquarters will serve as the primary location for conference operations, annual business meetings, along with the on-site filming of multimedia content for the distribution via via social media and the SWAC Digital Network.
SWAC Digital Network is coming back.
SWAC Digital Network sounds like it's coming back. So,
and with all those rooms, they can get in the rental business. They'll be able to make some money by selling rental space to people.
How about that? All right.
I wonder what floor they'll be on. They'll be third floor. You get to be in the high rise.
Right. So
penthouse. Go
nice.
ahead, Joe.
I like that. So, with all this basketball going on, let me make sure that I mention conference play started in SWAC this past week in baseball. So we get to SWAC baseball players of the week. Alabama State's Jabronsky Williams and Southern's Joseph Battaglia. They have been named SWAC hitter and the pitcher of the week, respectively, following impressive performances this past week. Jabronsky Williams, he finished the week hitting .304 for the Hornets in 6 games. He helped Alabama State to a 4-2 record. He picked up 7 hits, with 5 of those being extra base hits to finish this week with a .615 slugging percentage, and he was on base 40% of the time. The junior picked up a pair of doubles, a pair of triples, and his first collegiate home run. He also had a pair of games in which he picked up multiple hits for the Hornets, going 2 for 4 against Troy and 3 for 4 against Toledo with 4 RBIs. Joseph Battaglia, he pitched a 7-inning no-hitter, throwing 96 pitches with 60 strikes for Southern as they wrapped up a 3-game sweep of the Prairie View A&M Panthers this past weekend.
Oh, they did.
The Jaguars won the third and final game of the series 20-0 in their opening SWAC series of the season. So a little baseball to get to.
Yes. Also, in terms of basketball, when you look at it, we got some celebration going on. We have some teams that have clinched at least a share. Some of them outright. Bethune-Cookman women's Wildcat have clinched first place in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference as they have one game to go this Thursday. They'll close it out against their rival. They play Florida A&M Rattlers. But they have a 2-game lead over Norfolk State, so they are officially crowned the championship. So that's big news in terms of what's going on there. So you got to give them a lot of credit of what's going on there. And then in the SWAC, Jackson State has at least has won a championship. They have at least guaranteed a share of the championship. They need one more game to get it outright, but at this point they at least have a share of it. And then you see the same in the SWAC in terms of the men's side, as Prairie View A&M University is guaranteed back-to-back championships, as they have at least gained a share of the championship. They have a 2-game lead over Texas Southern University with 2 games to go. So the worst they can do is finish tied for SWAC. They can have one more win coupled with a loss will guarantee them an outright championship back-to-back. First time since 61 and 62 that they've done that. 4+ years, if math correct there. In 62, that's when they won a NAIA championship led by Zelmo Beatty, the brother of current President Ruth Simmons.
Oh, wow.
Clarence was on that team as well. So it's interesting to just talk about some of the talent on that. You talk about Legend was on that team, famous wide receiver for Prairie View A&M University. Has made his bones in the NFL, Kansas City Chiefs. Yes. Also played on
Otis Tate.
Otis Tate was on that team, to give you some information about just how loaded that team was. And then the following year, Grambling State wins the championship, just to let you know SWAC was dominating. But Prairie View was dominating the league at least for 2 years. They're back-to-back, 61-62 winning championships. And while they've won tournament championships since then and a regular season championship back in 2008, 2009, back-to-back seasons.
That's awesome.
Pretty impressive for Byron Smith.
Very impressive.
Hopefully we get a chance to talk to him about that a little bit. As well as talk to head coach for Jackson State in terms of the women's side there.
Coach Tomekia Reed. Yes, indeed.
Tomekia Reed, that she's getting it done in her second season. Hope we get a chance to talk to him a little bit about that. But I thought had to share a little bit of the history of what's going on there. I also want to talk about Jackson State. Cool thing with student manager gets in the game, puts up a deep 3.
Thomas Lee. They call him Snacks.
And you can see why. He's a big boy. You can tell he likes to get down at the table. And it seems like not just at the table. Anytime he can, it looks like he enjoys some snacks. But hey, he got his opportunity and he showed out, and he since went viral.
He's gone tremendously viral today.
Because of big love. I mean, you don't get those opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got his opportunities, not only did he get out there and do something, but he made a shot, 3-point shot. They looked like they were going to try to give him another layup. I wouldn't say a dunk because I'm not sure that would be fair. Because even when he shot the 3-point deep, I don't think his toes left the floor. But kudos to him.
How about that set shot? Well, that was a tremendous story today for Jackson State as he went viral. And I think it started off this morning on Get Up, in terms of the best athlete that I've seen today, that sort of deal. And then all throughout the platforms, all throughout the day, he has gotten a tremendous amount of love today on all sorts of platforms, from Barstool Sports to ESPN, Fox. Everybody is really gone viral today. So shout out to the big man for knocking down that 3 last night.
Hey, when you get your opportunity,
hey, shoot your shot.
Make it work.
Yeah, that's the very definition. Real Rudy story, because he's been around Jackson State's basketball program. He was a ball boy for over 10 years, and he's a student now. And in this senior year final game there, he gets an opportunity to get in the game. And then not only just get in the game, but hey, he knocked down a 3. So yeah, it's a very, very good feel-good story to it. So
we need that.
Yes, indeed.
Jackson State needs that as well. SWAC needs that. Good stuff. What about the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference SIAC tournaments this week? Did any of those teams, as they go into, what were teams that clinch their championships, respectively? SIAC, Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, our other 2 HBCU conferences at the mid-major level. Yeah, well, a shout out to Xavier as they beat Tougaloo last night for them to clinch the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference regular season title. So definitely want to send shout out to Xavier Athletics. Regular season title is their 12th in school history, so that's the most ever in the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. So definitely shout out to the Xavier as they were able to get it done against a tough Tougaloo squad. Those 2 really good teams. They got together last night in New Orleans, and it was a heck of a matchup. But it was Xavier coming out on top. Nice. SIAC, Miles does it, I know, on the West Division, both men's and women's. Kudos to them. But on the east side, who gets it done in terms of what's going on over there in the SIC as they start to create the seeding for their tournament this week to see who's going to grab that automatic bid to NCAA Division tournament. Should be interesting to see what's going on over there. What do you have? Yeah, well, that conference tournament is already kicked off in Clark. They've already knocked off Kentucky State in the opening round of the SIAC tournament, so they advance on to face Central State now. But there's another exciting tournament that's getting underway. We're right in the midst of it now. We got SIAC going on this week. CIAA just finished up last week. We got SWAC and MEAC next week. You got a big one that we got to talk about later on Thursday night in the MEAC to decide the regular season MEAC crown. So that's going to be a fun one. Do a little different today and jump in a little early. We'll hold off on the men's side if you would, but I want to get into the top 5 power rankings on the women's side. Let's look at top 5 rankings. A team did not drop out this week. In regards to what's going on there, receiving votes, North Carolina A&T State Aggies, Lady Aggies there, 19-8, 11-4 with 28 points, and you have Morgan State Bears receiving votes this week at 15-3, 11-4. Top 5 programs are Hampton Lady Pirates, 17-10, 13-5, 42 points, remain at the 5th spot. At number 4, Texas Southern Tigers, 18-9, 13-3, as they try to push Jackson State in regards to seeing what they can do in the terms of championship races. They hold on and get it done against a tough Alabama A&M team. They played them really well the other night, 57 points. At number 3, you have Norfolk State Spartanette sitting at 18-10, 12-3, 74 points, as they'll be seeded 2 in the MEAC tournament. At number 2, you have Jackson State Lady Tigers sitting at 17-9, 15-1. Just one conference loss, and they're holding on. Like we said, they have a share of the conference championship, 3 first-place votes, 96 points as they get it done. Number 1, Bethune-Cookman Lady Wildcats just continue to dominate, get it done in so many different ways. 22 wins on the season. Yeah. 22-5. They are 14-1 in conference play. Again, they close out the season on Thursday on the women's side as they will host Florida A&M Rattlers in that matchup. Should be fascinating to see what they get done against their rivals. Try to close out the season as they get prepared for tournament play as they seek to go back-to-back champions, not just for the regular season but also the tournament. So it'll be fascinating to see what's going on there. With that said, what are your thoughts in regards to top 5 programs in women's basketball?
You can't argue with Bethune-Cookman in terms of what they've been able to do. Like you said, 20-win season, 22 wins on the season, 22-5, 14-1 in conference play. This is their 4th regular season championship in 5 years. Young lady Amaya Scott and Shanti Hunter, they've been getting it done for the MEAC regular season champions all throughout the season. They're ranked 19th in the nation, according to CollegeInsider.com, mid-major poll. And I tell you what, they're a strong team. They're definitely going to be a team to watch out for in the MEAC tournament next week. And Jackson State Lady Tigers, they're right there, right there in the midst of it in terms of where they are within your poll. So we should have some very good tournament games upcoming next week. The fun part about this part of the season, Dr. Cavil, is that you just never know what's going to happen. And we saw that, I think, in the CIAA tournament because although Fayetteville State is a great team, my eyes were looking at Bowie State in terms of and Lincoln in that tournament, and you saw Fayetteville State come out on top. So it was a great tournament. So we just never know what will happen come tournament time.
So just as we talk about now, 2 teams that will be looking outside on the women's side. Think about this: Grambling and Mississippi Valley State. As the top 8 teams go to the tournament in the MEAC. You have UAPB sitting at 5-12. They only have 1 game to go, so they'll get the win marks. You possibly could have Pine Bluff lose and then Grambling win 2 the time, and then you go to the tiebreaker. But at this point, you're looking at the matchup. Grambling would be on the outside looking in terms of the women's side. So first round matchups going into the last 2 games of the season. That's Thursday and Saturday before the tournament next week, with Tuesday being quarterfinal on campus site. So we'll do the show, but we'll probably be rushing to the site. We might sneak in and do one live on campus. We'll let you know, but we'll do a show one way or the other. So stick with us. But at this point on the women's side, you have number 1 versus number 8. Again, that's Jackson State versus Pine Bluff. 2 seed Texas Southern face Alabama State. The 3 seed at this point would be Southern facing off against the 6 seed Alcorn State. And the 4-5 matchup would see Alabama A&M hosting Prairie View. Top 4 seeds are at home, so at this point Jackson State, Texas Southern, and Alabama A&M are at home. But there are 2 games to be played. So Alabama A&M, in terms of their 4-5 spot, after losing a tough one to Prairie View this weekend, young lady did get hurt in that matchup. So we'll see how that may factor in Prairie View. But Prairie View just sits 1 game behind Alabama A&M. But then you have Alcorn State, Lady Braves, just sitting 1 game behind Prairie View. So and Southern and Alabama A&M, for that matter, is a 1 game difference. 2 game matchup between Texas Southern and Southern. A little more room for error for Texas Southern, but when you go 3, 4, 5, 6, it could change.
And
real quick,
razor thin margin of error in terms of what you say 4, 5, 6. And I thought
you would like that.
Yeah, one of the things we take a look at every year is it's that first game. I don't know if it's the jitters or whatever the case might be, or the finality of it all in terms of it's one and done. But that first game, for whatever reason, we always watch the favorite teams that kind of come out a little bit tight and things of that nature, and eventually to kind of get things up and going. But I'll be very interested watching these games that Tuesday night, Texas Southern and Alabama State. I think that'll be a pretty decent game. Although we just watched Texas Southern take down Alabama State this past weekend, but you have to always be careful with Frida Freeman Jackson teams because they always have some ball players that can play. Somebody can
Great
get
point,
hot.
especially on the women's side in terms of who can get hot. Also, in terms of Ohio Valley Conference, it starts this week. Tennessee State on the men's side made the tournament. Unfortunately for the women of Tennessee State, their season comes to an end 4-24, 2-16. I do want to give kudos and congratulations on a retirement announcement for the AD of Tennessee State.
Teresa Phillips,
yes. As the men's and women's basketball team did a great job of paying homage to her. Obviously, she'll complete the rest of the academic year, which includes track and field sports, as well as softball, because they do not offer baseball at Tennessee State in terms of Division I program. But they brought out the rocking chair, so I thought that was really cool. And she sat down and put her leg up. It was a beautiful picture.
That's always nice. Yeah.
And so they provided her with some great gifts, gag gifts, and just general retirement gifts. But I thought the way they paid homage to her was necessary in terms of what she's done for Tennessee State. Particularly historic note. You know, she's the only woman that's coached the men's basketball Division I team.
That's huge.
Tennessee State. She had to step in for the coach that was dismissed. Legendary in her own right of what she did before she came from Tennessee State, Vanderbilt in terms of as a college athlete. So a lot of kudos to her in terms of continuing to push the envelope for Tennessee State. I do think it's interesting for who will be the next AD or VP of Intercollegiate Athletics, whichever title they're going to use there. And what does that mean? As you just heard about SWAC, people love to see Tennessee going to be interested. And we have changes of ADs or VPs, when you have changes of commissioners, and ultimately at some point when you have changes at the presidential office. What does that look like in terms of the landscape? Not saying that I've heard anything from any of those individuals, but just churning is real. And it will be interesting to see how that plays out as you start to see that transition take place. The teams that are close in the MEAC in terms of the women's side, a little different. All teams go in terms of that. Those that are eligible, no APR problems. And so you have a 2-game difference, as we said, between Norfolk Spartans. That's done. But when you start to dig down, Norfolk is Morgan State, 1-game difference. As Morgan State and North Carolina A&T are both tied with 3 games back, so the 1-game difference, Norfolk. So over this 1 game, last game that you play, because they only play a Thursday, as they start their tournament Monday and Tuesday early next week. So they don't play Saturday games, as they come in and provide a luncheon, dinner for everybody and provide awards to accolades. You have that. And so Delaware State, North Carolina Central are tied at 8-7 in league play, so they have 1 game that may determine some seeding there. And then you have FAMU and University of Maryland Eastern Shore 4-11 in regards to tied in that position, to let you know what's going on there. Hampton, in terms of the Big South, let you know as they close out their season.
Interesting.
Did well in regards to overall play. Can't quite finish the deal in terms of first place, but they did finish second in conference.
Yeah.
So we want to acknowledge what the Hampton Lady Pirates were able to do. 17-10 overall. Coach Davis Six continues to get it done, no matter where he is, in terms of having a good overall season. But championships is what they have been known in the past. So
sure.
It'll be interesting to see over the next season or two, can they find a way to finally knock down their door. Certainly getting closer. They finished tied for second with Radford at 13-5 in league play. In terms of that, as they start preparing and getting ready for their tournament in terms of what's going on there. So that's some information in terms of what's going on in terms of the women's side. Let me give you an update in terms of the men's poll. See what's going on and see what your thoughts are there. On the men's side, you have, let me make sure I get the right one here. On the men's side, you did have one team drop out this week. Southern Jaguars 14-15, 11-5. They did get the victory as they continue to play some good basketball. But Norfolk State, I should say, had 2 victories this week, so they jumped back in the poll, while Southern only played the 1 game, and I think that was the difference in terms of them dropping out. Tennessee State Tigers 17-14, 9-9 on the season. Southern Jaguars finished 14-15, 11-5, 35 points. As they push Texas Southern this last weekend, that's going to be a very interesting matchup. Not much in terms of seeding patterns. You're talking about 2 and 3, so either team avoids quote unquote Prairie View. Prairie View with the number 1 seed, they have the head-to-head tiebreaker over Texas Southern. So even if they tie with them, you'll see that as it goes down the stretch. So it'll be interesting there. I guess there are some scenarios where you could get the 3-way tie. So that'd be interesting to see how that may go in terms of Prairie View getting an early victory over Southern. So you got point differential that could take place, and then win-loss against each other. So Prairie View looks like it has the edge, but that will go down to the wire for the most part in a lot of ways of what's going on there. But in terms of rankings, receiving votes, Tennessee State Tigers sit at 17-14, 9-9, 48 points. Southern Jaguars 14-15, 11-5, 35 points, like I said. Number 5, Norfolk State Spartans sit at 15-15, 11-4. They were not ranked as they jumped back in the poll. At number 4, Texas Southern Tigers 15-14, 13-4. Number 3 is North Carolina Central Eagles at 16-13, 12-3. And number 2, North Carolina A&T State Aggies 16-14, 12-3 in the conference play. So you see that they're both tied, right? And guess who plays on Thursday?
Yeah, that's a huge one.
This time though, the game is in Raleigh.
It's in Raleigh.
North Carolina Central Eagles have went to overtime in their last 2 games to make sure they would give themselves a chance in terms of that. Whoever wins that game will get the conference championship outright. How about that?
So we got the
and
Aggies
then the
going
loser
to
of the
Raleigh.
team will get the number 2 team in the division, as they will tie for Norfolk State if Norfolk State wins. But both teams beat Norfolk State in the only game they played this season, so they would have the head-to-head tiebreaker. So whoever wins this, winner takes all, they get the conference championship outright, and they get the number 1 seed in the tournament. Boy,
that could be huge.
that's what you will love.
That's what you
against
want.
your rival.
Exactly.
You love that opportunity.
Not only do I get bragging rights, but I get all the benefits that come with the bragging rights.
For the tournament, no doubt about it. Great point. Sitting at number 1 is Prairie View A&M Panthers, sitting at 18-11, 14-2, most wins on the men's Division I side, inching towards that 20-win mark. Can they find a way to get it? Can they get it before the season ends? Can they go on the road? But they got to go on the road to do it. Be interesting. Big thing that everybody's talking about at Prairie View is the 26-game win streak.
That's huge.
Talk about
home
the
game.
fact that they got back-to-back championships. But people are excited and really trying to put it anywhere they can, deservedly so. 26 wins. They haven't lost since 2018. That's pretty impressive.
Very impressive. Very impressive. Very tough environment to go to Prairie View on the hill and to try to get that victory against Prairie View. And they're a very solid ball club. Just a lot of things about this ball club that I really like. They really play hard-nosed defense. We talked about how they are within their mid-range game. They don't really shoot a lot of three-pointers, and they really get it done inside the paint. So, but the defense, they really smother you on defense. It's a very difficult team to go against. They really pressure your guards, and they get a hand in your face. I really enjoy watching them. Byron Smith has this team ready, and they'll be a very tough tournament opponent. So they're a fun team to watch. I like watching teams that are just gritty, that get after you.
Yeah, quickly as we look at that to some degree when we talk about the SWAC, let's look at what the tournament looked like today. Obviously, we got 2 to game, so a lot to play with, but this is where you got to get in that little radio talk, as we like to mix it up and say what it looks like before it gets started. Plus, we want to be back on the show by the time the tournament starts. So let's get into it now. Valley is 12-15. They have 1 game to go, so they're out. They can't catch Alabama A&M that sits at 14-12. In regards to that, and A&M, I don't believe they qualify for the tournament, so Pine Bluff will be in. So you have 1 versus 8 in this case, will be Pine Bluff. In terms of that matchup, they do have that head-to-head game against Valley, so Valley could win that one.
Mm-hmm.
They win that one. Point differential comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Can they slide up to that spot? Since A&M is not eligible, should be interesting in terms of what it looks like there. Then you have Texas Southern. Currently, we be facing Alabama State. Rematch. Ooh, I know Alabama State, the Hornets coach does not want to make that long road trip back to Houston.
Who does? Yeah, from Alabama to Texas. Yeah.
But that would be fun for the fans.
Yeah.
2 games behind Jackson State, so they have to win the last 2 and hope Jackson State loses for that to happen. But right now, first round matchup, Southern versus Jackson State.
Oh boy. Ah.
But I think Jackson State has the head-to-head wins over Alcorn State, so they would actually win the tiebreaker. So they catch a break there. So in a lot of ways, you would actually have Alcorn faces Southern and Jackson State placing Grambling, with Prairie View, Texas Southern, and Grambling being home team. We're looking to have our call. Coach Byron Smith.
Yes.
How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well, yourself?
Coach, I know you have 2 conference games left. I know you have to hit the road. Coach, I know that you are looking to tournament play, and you have plans for postseason to play. But it's my understanding that the Prairie View A&M Panthers of Prairie View A&M University, the men's basketball program, has clinched at least a share of the regular season championship. That means you as the head coach has led this team with a bunch of hardworking young men to back-to-back championships. This hasn't been done since 61 and 62. So, Coach, you're going to have to be a little more excited than what you're going to have to give me a little more than that. I rolled all that out. How's it going, Coach?
Yeah. Hey, it's going well. Hey, thank you for having me on your show. Definitely an honor, the privilege to join you. But, yeah, that's a nice introduction. We're kind of speechless, from all the nice things that you said. So I was just glowing, basking, in real kind words. I really appreciate it. But yeah, we've come a long way. Like I say, Dr. Cavil, we've come a long way, and definitely just thankful to God first and foremost, and we're just hoping to continue to move the program forward.
Certainly, talk about that. As being the architect of building this program, you've been a long time coming in terms of being an assistant coach, paying your dues, traveling all over the country, literally, not even talking about the years that you played, and working on it. When you finally get the call, you kind of get the shot to say, all right, we're going to give you the reins, Coach. We'll see what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the architect. Talk about your vision and you and yourself being humble, but talk about your desire and your thoughts in terms of why you thought you could build this program into a winning program like you have.
Well, first, Dr. Cavil, I'd be remiss if I didn't state that, I feel that this is my divine assignment. This is what God has given me to do, to be involved, in the game. And I think in life, everything's about timing. You look at a lot of coaches, they're in such a hurry to become head coaches. They then sometimes they get a good opportunity to be a head coach at one place, and then it's always like the grass is greener on the other side. They go take another job, i.e. a Willie Taggart, had the job at Oregon, and he jumped ship and goes to Florida State. In a year and a half, he's out. He's out. So
your desire and your thoughts in terms.
I feel that it's all about timing, and sometimes the hardest thing for us to have as humans is patience. You have to have a lot of prayer, but I was patient, and when the call came, I felt like I was ready. Early on, I did want to be a head coach a lot sooner, but I felt like my time had come and I was ready. So a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and like you say, none of this is possible without the willingness and the effort and the believe in of the young men. We all know that players make coaches. A lot of coaches are self-absorbed and they feel as though they're fair around. But it's not always about the X's and O's. It's about the Jimmys and Joes. So I have to give the players over the past 4 years a lot of the credit making this thing go. And I'm not always the easiest guy to play for. I'm sure you witnessed that when you're at the games at courtside. I get a little bit animated, a little bit excited, and I get on those guys pretty hard. But it's all coming from a good place and space. But again, I just think it's time, and I think it was my time, and I've taken full advantage of the opportunity.
With that, I want to let Charles Bishop follow up. Thank you for those points and well said.
Coach, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the way you guys play defense. And one of the things I've really noticed in watching your teams is you take your coat off and you almost play defense with the guys on defense. But just talk about the importance that you put on the defensive side of the ball. Exactly. You look like you get in that defensive squat and be ready to go. But just the way you guys play defense, you're second in the SWAC in terms of total team defense. But the emphasis that you put on that side of the ball.
Well, all 4 years of high school and basketball and 4 years of college, I never played a lick of defense myself. And that's been duly noted by everyone who saw me play. So I felt that by taking over, I needed to, make defense, because again,
make amends.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. You're not always going to play well, but you can always play hard. And I do think that defense is a lot easier to teach than offense, because defense is a will, it's not a skill. You start talking about trying to teach, offense and putting the ball in the basket. I mean, good luck. That's very difficult. You're born to be able to do that. Obviously, you can kind of work on it over the years, but you have to have a strong skill set from a young age. But defense is something that you can always hang your hat on. And if you're not scoring, if you're playing defense, you still have a chance against anyone that you play. So when I first took over, on an interim basis, we had a bunch of walk-ons, and we were able to kind of turn the corner a little bit by just being scrappy and just playing really, really good defense. And it's just kind of become the staple of our program, and we want to do it year in and year out. And every year we're trying to get better and better and better. And I think that we've done that, and we're going to continue to do that. Obviously, you have to be able to put the ball in the basket to have a chance to win. But I always think that defense will give you a chance. Some nights your ball doesn't go in the basket, you still have a chance to be in the game. If you're getting after on the defensive side of the ball.
One of the things that I've noticed about your team is total team effort, total team play. But talk a little bit about the play of Devontae Patterson and Gerard Andrews. Both of those guys are really two of the top-notch players in the league.
Devontae Patterson, I think, to be quite honest, has a chance to do something, after Prairie View at the highest level. I think the last young man that came out of the SWAC that made it to the NBA. Obviously, he left Texas Southern and he went to New Mexico State with Zach Lofton. And I do believe that Devontae Patterson, I'm not saying right away. I think he may have to go the long route, but I do think he's got NBA potential. And I do think that if the things fall, in his favor, God willing, I think he's a guy that can make money at the next level. He's a guy that we were fortunate to be able to get. I mean, a lot of the high majors are recruiting him. He obviously had some off-the-court issues that he's kind of, come full circle, and he's addressed those issues, and he's a better young man today as a result of, facing, his former transgressions, past transgressions, I should say. But he's a multi-dimensional kind of guy. I think he's probably the single most unguardable guy in the league. I just don't think any one guy can guard this kid, and that's not bragging, but it's just if he was at Texas Southern, if he was at Jackson, I would say the same thing. I'm always totally honest about the game, so I think he's the next level guy. We're fortunate to have him for 2 years, and he's a big reason why we are back-to-back SWAC champions. Gerard Andrews is a young man that is probably one of my favorite young men to coach, just because he's overcome so much. I mean, guys, if I would tell you some of the things that these guys have gone through. It brought tears to your eyes, so I'm very happy for him that he's been able to overcome some things. And he's a Louisiana guy, so obviously I'm a little bit biased to that. But he's a guy that can really score the basketball. He's a lunch pail, hard head type guy. He brings it every day. He's the first one in the gym, the last one to lead. He's a team guy. He rallies his teammates, supports his teammates. He pushes his teammates with his effort. He's an outstanding example. He plays the game the right. He's kind of a throwback. He plays the game the right way. just with a lot of emotion, a lot of passion, a lot of energy, effort, enthusiasm, and toughness. So, I don't know what life after Prairie View holds for him. I think he will be able to go somewhere and play, but it's going to be up to him. But two young men that have overcome a lot, so happy for them. Very, very happy as a coach to be able to have them on my team. I definitely wouldn't want to play against them. But those young men have been the pillars of my program for the past 2 years, and like I said, definitely glad that they came to play for Prairie View.
Yes, indeed.
No doubt about it. As we close up, last question, you had 6 seniors that you celebrated this past weekend in terms of the last home games. Really pillars to rebuilding this program in a lot of ways. And when I say rebuilding it, building it to a championship level, and you talk about the expectations moving forward. So it's going to be fascinating to get to talk to you a little more in the off season to see what looks like. Obviously, I know you have a lot more basketball in front of you and a lot of things that you want to accomplish this season. So we won't get too far ahead of that. But last thing, we'll give you opportunity to say something to your fans and your administration in terms of the support that you're getting in allowing this to make this happen if you'd like.
Well, first of all, I'd like to, give a huge pat on the back, shout out to our administration. Dr. Ruth Simmons, she's been great. She's been so supportive. She's
a big time fan of the game too.
Yeah,
I like it.
She shows a lot of enthusiasm and support when she comes to the games. It's just so fun to see.
Yes.
And she usually brings the crowd, when she comes. So
That's right.
I definitely like that part of it. And obviously, Alicia Pete, our interim athletic director, she's been very supportive in each and every way. Corey Bradford, our CFO, the list goes on and on. And they've been super duper supportive, and they haven't said no a lot, but we don't ask for a lot. We're kind of humble people. We don't ask for a lot, but what we have asked for, they've granted it. So that, first of all, you can only be as good as the support that you have from your administration. They've been great. The fans, it's growing. I mean, it's growing. I still like to see the Baby Dome pack more than just when we play Texas Southern. But it's a work in progress. But I do appreciate the students that come out, and then we do have some loyal alums that show up every night that we play, and then they've been very supportive and very kind. They've been very patient, with us and things like that. So it's just been a total team effort. It's been a believe in, and I say believe in. They believe in me. They give me an opportunity, and I'm eternally grateful for that. And I want to do everything, guys, within my power to make them proud that they did select me to be the head coach. And again, it's been fun. I don't want it to end. It's like a dream. I don't want to wake up, but I have to wake up because we got to get on the road tomorrow to go to Alcorn. Can't be sleeping. We got coming up. But guys, the support's been great, and across the board, it's been a total team effort.
Sure thing.
Certainly. Thank you for your time, Coach Byron Smith, Prairie View A&M University men's basketball program. Back-to-back champions, as he's guaranteed at least a share of the regular season championship this year, as they won both the regular season and the tournament last season, as they look forward to closing out the season in a strong way, getting in the tournament and see if they can do it again and match which and get back to the NCAA tournament. Congratulations, Coach. Keep up the great work.
Coach.
Go Panthers.
Go Panthers.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Take care. With that big-time interview there, excited about getting a chance to talk with Coach Byron Smith, Prairie View A&M University. He's talking about rebuilding the program, setting historic marks. Anytime you get to go back to the 60s in terms of what you've done.
That's history.
That's a lot of history. You putting your name in the books for ages. As we said, 61-62, legendary Zelmo Beatty played on that team in terms of what was going on there when they went on to win a national championship, NAIA championship in 1962, to give you some kudos of what's going on there. So it'll be a fascinating matchup, really interesting in that Southern matchup with Prairie View this weekend, and then obviously the TSU Southern game should be interesting before we get in the tournament. And as we said, quarterfinals. Top 4 seeds host first-round games, and then you go to Birmingham for 2 games if you can cut down the nets, Friday and Saturday. It'll be interesting to watch.
Tickets go on sale, half price off tonight on the SWAC website. So that should be fun.
Go ahead.
And we have our next guest on the line. Is this Coach Tomekia Reed?
Yes, it is. How are you?
Coach Reed, welcome to Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, and congratulations as your Lady Tigers. They were able to clinch the regular season SWAC championship, a portion of the SWAC championship regular season.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it.
Sure thing. I wanted to start off, you talked with Charles Bishop here. I wanted to start off by asking in regards to this past season. You mentioned at the beginning of the season that you felt like your ladies came into the season with a chip on their shoulder. Was there a defining moment within the season where you thought this was a real championship caliber team?
Yeah, we were trying to put it together in preseason. We just have a lot of talent on our team. My third string could probably start for some of the SWAC schools today had they went somewhere else to play. And so we had so much talent on the team, but we couldn't ever figure out how to make them play together. And so when we beat UL Lafayette right before our first conference game, and that was our Division I win for us. They gave us a lot of confidence. And so at that point, I think our girls got the confidence that they needed to go into conference and get down the stretch. Coming out against Alabama State, our first game, scoring 94 points, that built a lot of confidence in our players. And so they just kind of went from there. Each player set personal goals, and, we set team goals, and, they just kind of stuck to it. And every game, they try to accomplish those personal goals and those team goals. And one thing led to another.
Coach, you're from the city of Jackson, and one of the things I've noticed, I've gone to a few games this past year, is the atmosphere when the Lady Tigers are playing. You've really kind of turned that building around in terms of the early game, in terms of the city of Jackson getting behind this team. Talk about the Jackson State fan base and how they've kind of coalesced around your basketball team.
Oh, man, our fans here have been phenomenal. I know you're talking about this year, but I have to go back to last year. We had games where we had a single header. We went into the first round of the conference tournament last year at our place, and it was full. Before the game started, we had so many fans in the stands. And then coming into this year, it just kind of carried over. We have people in the game, before the game starts, and they're not trickling in at halftime. And it makes our players feel so good, and our players feel respected and, wanted, and they come out and want to work really hard for our fans. We have a very, very, very good fan base, and I'm so thankful for them. Our fans change the atmosphere. They change the officials' calls. They change, the opposing team's demeanor. Our fans are so important. I'm just so proud of how they rallied behind the players and get to the game early for us.
Yeah, I talked with you a little bit earlier this season about the play of Amisha Williams, and you talked about once she kind of learned how to use her size and play in the paint, how she really kind of turned her game around, if you will. Talk a little bit about the play of Amisha.
Amisha was out for 2 years, and she was out for 2 years and was coming back after having a child. And so we knew it was going to take some time for her to recover. And, her process has been right on time. It's been right on point. She works extremely hard. We had to get her a little bit tougher in the weight room. We had to get a little bit more weight off of her. But again, this is somebody who told me in preseason, watch when I get you a triple-double. Watch how I average a double-double. She was telling me these things before they even happened, and I kept telling her, girl, you way off. You got to do a whole lot better. And so, her meeting that challenge and, really stepping up to the plate, she has been just outstanding for us. And she takes a lot of pride. She takes more pride in getting rebounds and blocks than she does scoring. So, she brings a lot to the table. She makes everybody around her better.
That's awesome to hear.
Yes, this is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I want to follow up with a question a little more holistic in nature in regards to moving from recruiting coordinator back in 2006, 2009, which you helped build a program that won a regular season championship, and then now in your second season as you are now a regular season, at least share a portion of the championship, and over the last 2 games, I'm sure you're shooting to get it outright. And then you head in the tournament where last year you went to the championship game, couldn't quite get it done. But talk about building this program.
Yeah, Jackson State for me when I was an assistant here with Denise Taylor, Jackson State has always been at the top in every category, in every sporting category. Football, basketball, men's basketball, baseball. We were always at the top. And so as I ventured away from Jackson State, I just kind of saw how they dwindled to the bottom. And, it was just a major concern because you're in the capital city. Recruiting here can, be easy for you to go after the right.
Yeah.
If you go after the right recruits.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just getting players in that fit my style of play, that fit my demeanor, players who are hard-nosed, who's going to go after it regardless of, whatever situation they're facing. Players who want to meet challenges. Those kind of players I go after. Players who need a second opportunity. I like to recruit those type of players as well because normally if they mess up once, they want to get it right, they'll come in and do better for you. So, it was just that transition and bringing in those type of players and just getting them to fit the program. But I'm extremely excited because, when I came in last year, the players, I inherited, they didn't have to adjust to me. I had some that try to fight me early. But when they recognized, what we were trying to do, and they recognized, hey, this woman has won here before. She's won, and won at another school. Yeah, they bought in, and they bought in at the right time last year. And then when you can win and birth, good recruits to come into your program. And so we were able to get a better class coming in this year.
Wow.
And so, and now the girls are completely bought in at this point.
Coach, let me ask this one final question in terms of, and you touched on it, but being a Jackson native, how special is it to bring a championship to Jackson State University?
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you. It's an amazing feeling. They actually, our athletic director, he is so elite. He is so first class. And, coming into this year, he has just given our players everything that they need to be successful. And, he tell me all the time, Coach, you keep asking for all this. Now I'm gonna expect big things from you. And so, I reassured him. I said, we're gonna be fine this year. We're gonna be fine. And so, he's a phenomenal guy, and he works extremely hard for us. And he looked at me last night, and Elise, the assistant athletic director, they looked at me and said, this is our first championship as administrators, and this is very special to us. And so that made me feel really good, and it made me want to just continue to work harder. This is home. I love home. The support is amazing, and I couldn't be in a better place than right here at home at Jackson State. So it's a great feeling.
Sure thing. Well, Coach, we thank you for coming on Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We look forward to seeing you next week in Birmingham. So congratulations and good luck.
Go Tigers.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank
you so much. Go Tigers.
Thanks, Coach.
Man, so we had a chance to get it done in regards to getting those 2 interviews in. Wanted to do that as the coach did their part, at least making sure they clinched a share of the regular season championship before we closed out the season, got in the tournament points. So wanted to give them a little love for a job well done, both on the men's and women's. So you hear first from Coach Byron Smith of Prairie View A&M University, then with Tomekia Reed of Jackson State University on the women's side, Jackson State Tigers. Oh, boy, I see you over there. And you said this is going to be a talented team to watch.
Yeah.
You thought they could get it done, but you wanted to get it done. They delivered for you.
Very much so.
So, well deserved. Stick your chest out a little bit.
No doubt.
And I wish them both well
Very
in the
proud.
tournament in terms of what they've done on the season and see if they can close it out in the right way. As we close up on the final part, obviously we gave you the poll. I want to give our listeners a little bit of shout out. Before I give you last statement, we'll be ready to go. At those that follow us, give them Chuck Hunt, Wendy Jenkins Bishop jumps on here. Anthony Johnson's scariest team to face in the SWAC tournament has to be Alabama State, hands down.
On the women or men?
Men. I would say that the only thing is if they were all in the tournament, I would agree with that in terms of Birmingham. Problem is the first round is away They're going to be a tough matchup for somebody. I'm not sure if they can win 3 in a row, but I definitely agree that they're a team that can certainly get an upset or 2.
I'm gonna tell you quickly a team that I think is an enigma team, but they have Jackson State. They have a 20-point scorer, one of the top scorers in the league.
Jackson State's another
a
thing.
14-point scorer and the top rebounder and guy who leads the league in block shots. But they're an enigma. You never know which team you're going to get with Jackson State.
Right. If they could get a home game, I think they maybe get some danger there. I think it's going to be difficult because they're such an enigma to go on the road and get that game. And right now, they're sitting in that 5th spot, so they got to find a way to close out the season in such a way that maybe they can get that home game. You can see maybe a little more. Chantel Bennett says stepped up for the Fayetteville State. Great point, Chuck Hunt. Chantel Fleming always go through an Aggie pride during your live broadcast, no matter what the conversation is. Yeah, we told you.
No doubt.
It's Eagle Aggie championship basketball, boy.
I love it.
And I will be in somebody's local establishment, making sure I can watch that game and doing some sundries. We're going to put it like that.
How about that?
Whether it's water, maybe a little more.
Yeah. Kool-Aid.
George Kool-Aid, yeah. George Sugg says baseball A&T defeated Boston College.
Yes.
ACC 3-1.
I caught that,
exactly.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Give shout-outs to Texas Southern University with their win over top 4 programs. We end the show, and then we talked about the fact that they had the lead. Well, they pulled it out last Tuesday. Got it done against, in one poll, ranked number 4 Mississippi State Bulldogs in the SEC. In another poll, they were ranked number 6. They take 2 out of 3 this first weekend from Pine Bluff.
Right.
Southern sweeps Prairie View.
Yep.
So we're in full gauge with baseball.
Jackson State sweep Alcorn. So
they're rival.
Yes, indeed.
Matchup. The tournament is moving to Jackson State.
Yeah, flag baseball tournament.
So it'll be interesting.
Smithfield Stadium.
A lot going on there. James St. Patrick says hello from Jacksonville, Florida. Appreciate you getting in there. Morrow from Hampton should be Player of the Year. I agree with that.
Jermaine Morrow, yes, sir.
In terms of his accolades, and Black College, chance of Black College Player of the Year as well. Roland Austin says PVAMU checked the tape, called it before the season started. Yes, you did, Roland. Credit to you. Jack Mack says, what's happening, fellas? Puts a link on here to his website. Does great jobs on photos, books, and prints. Check him out. Carlos Brown is checking out every Saturday. Check out his show.
Every
Dave
Saturday.
Lewis.
Yes.
Good to see you, Fred. Mark Hancock, Todd Jackson, Wendell Davis checking us out. Another frat brother, Wendell Davis, showing us some love. Wanted to make sure we give a shout out to some of those folks who follow us today. Continues to give us love as we get it done. Any last thoughts there, Charles?
Yeah, looking forward to we're right here at tournament time. SWAC and MEAC. Kudos to CIAA champions again. I'll wait for those Division II bids, but looking forward to it. We're right in the thick of things in terms of March Madness tournament time.
Yes, it is.
It's your boy Rob Calloway, host.
Thought I was going to let y'all get away with it.
No! You're inside the HBCU Sports Lab with my guy. All hail the dean of HBCU Sports. You know I named him that. Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, my guy. What's happening, man?
You know I had to do it.
How about that?
I know you had to do it. This is Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. We're inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Presented by Amber Slaughter, the project architect. Amber Slaughter, the project architect, where they handle the project planning, project development, project execution, and team management so you can run your business. Contact Amber Slaughter, the project architect, at www.theprojectarchitect.com to schedule an appointment. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the college and HBCU sports, the dean, with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. As we come to a close, we hope you enjoyed our interview with Byron Smith, head men's basketball coach at Prairie View A&M, and Tomekia Evans, head women's
Reed,
head women's basketball coach of Jackson State University. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab show with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday right here from 6 to 7, right here on KCOH 1230 AM Houston, Texas. KCOH The Source. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Dream big and continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon.
Course lecture dismissed.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it.